SADS, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to talk about something sad, which is SADS, which is sudden adult death syndrome. And I'm going to also talk about something strange from the David Lynch version of the film June. So stick around and listen. The report from Tiger Mountain. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about SADS here at the report from Tiger Mountain, which is sad, which is, apparently after everyone's gotten vaccinated for the last 2 years, there's now this kind of uprise of sudden adult death syndrome. I mean, I have no idea what could be causing that, ladies and gentlemen, but obviously I'm somebody who studies media. You'll see a lot of films here behind me, books and stuff. I'm something of a culture vulture, who studies cinema and movies and literature and music and stuff. So, I can bring you a little bit of knowledge from that kind of world of the aesthetic. And the work of David Lynch has always fascinated me. He's been one of my favourite directors, filmmakers, who I've watched his career over the last 40 years. And he made a very interesting version of June in the, early to mid-80s. And it obviously there's the recent film version of June that happened, and obviously if you're familiar with the story of June, you know about it. But there's something very interesting, that the Harkonnens, the Harkonnens kind of represent the globalists, that is kind of greedy group of evil people who are basically in charge of June, and they're kind of like stockpiling the spice, and they're obsessed with wealth, and their leader is the Baron Harkonnen, which is this gigantic fat guy who's obviously obsessed with greed and accumulation and things like that. Anyway, in the David Lynch version, the people who are Harkonnens have a thing called a heart plug, and basically it's like this device. It's almost like a little wire that goes down to your heart, and it comes out to a little thing. And then if you kind of misbehave on the planet Gidi Prime, which is the home of the Harkonnens, you pull this out and you drop dead. And I couldn't help think that this, SADS or whatever they call it, is a little bit like the heart plug that was in David Lynch's version of June. It was actually something that Lynch put into his version of June, and it's not in the new film, and it's not even in the book, so it must be David Lynch's actual invention. I actually read the first 3 June books in lockdown because I had nothing else to do, so I thought I'd read them, and they're great, by the way. You should all read them. They're fantastic books. I'm reading the 4th at the moment, God Emperor June. So they were great books, but yes, this sad situation is fascinating. Obviously, people in the anti-vax community are saying it's a vaccine injury, and they could well be right. I mean, this was the reason I think many people were anti-vaxxers, because they thought there's something wrong with them. Obviously, from my own, I speak on the show Cafe Lockdown, and I've examined this situation. It seems to me that the vaccine that is the most dangerous are the RNA ones, which is the Pfizer and the Pfizer and the Moderna. It seems that AstraZeneca, even though there's been some blood clotting issues in relation to that, doesn't seem to have as many negative side effects. So if you're lucky enough to have just had AstraZeneca, and I know people have even had the booster shots in AstraZeneca, so you can do that if you want to have your booster shots. You can still get AstraZeneca for those. So I haven't heard many problems, but I've heard a lot of problems in relation to the Pfizer. People have had pericarditis, people have had myocarditis, and also now, you've seen a lot of celebrities just keel over dead at a age that seems rather young. Obviously, Shane Warne was one of them. There's been a whole number of people who've just been dropping dead at an age that seems far too young. And then you have this uprise of sudden adult death syndrome, which, SADS, which is terrible. What is the relation of this to the vaccine? Well, one thing you can be sure of, the mainstream media ain't going to talk about it, ladies and gentlemen, and that's, sad. So it's terrible, and I just wanted to bring your attention to it, and let's just see what happens. I mean, is it something that's just going to be sudden, like it says, sudden adult death syndrome, or is it going to be stick around? And I mean, how long are people going to keep taking their boosters? I mean, when do people stop taking boosters? I mean, are people going to take boosters past the 4th one? Like, obviously there's the 2 initial shots, then there's the first booster and second. Will people take a 5th? I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait till next year to find that out. But I think it could be related, and I think it certainly needs to be investigated, and I imagine science is investigating it, but whether we're going to hear about it, well, you're not going to hear about it on the mainstream news, as you well know. And that's all I've got to say on that, the sad situation, which is sad.